Welcome to episode 3 of the Must Make podcast. I hope you're all well. We're in some pretty weird times. I've barely left the house for about 4 days, getting a bit of cabin fever, trying to work things out. Recording from my living room this time, as opposed to the studio, so it might sound a bit less a bit less treated and flat. I'm going to be recording a lot more of these because I've got so much more time on my hands. I've got loads of music ready to go. Just need to finish and mix it and stuff. But I thought actually it gives me more time to think about these podcasts. Thanks to all of you who've checked out episodes 1 and 2. If you haven't, you can go back on whichever platform you're listening to this. There's episode 1 with D-Bridge, episode 2 of LSB. I've also, in the meantime, started a Facebook group for us to chat about the topic of creative process and for you guys listening to feedback on who you'd want to hear from, what you'd want to know from them, and maybe just some stuff that I've not thought about the subject of creative process and how we can maybe develop that conversation a bit more with your interaction, your help and your involvement. So that is called the Must Make podcast group on Facebook, so feel free to join, invite your friends and I'll approve you. You can come in, just be nice to each other. For this episode I've got DRS from Manchester. Really excited to have him on because we had a really good chat about the track that we made together called Cheap Love, and I promised that I'd get him back and we'd do a proper podcast chat. So if you don't know DRS, he's from Manchester. He's a very prolific rapper within drum and bass and hip hop. Works a lot with Calibre, and he wrote an album with LSB last year called The Blue Hour, which we discuss a little bit. He also, in the same year, put out his own solo album, From the Deep. So he writes at an incredible rate, and we touch on some of that in our conversation. So we really went in quite deep about his process and like his evolution and his sort of maturity and maturing and how he's changed and grown as a person over the years. And also, you know, what motivates him. And what came out of it really was quite a lot of wisdom. I felt like I was being taught a lesson basically the whole way through. So hopefully there's something in there for everyone to enjoy and to get something out of. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Easy, mate.
Yo, you alright?
Yeah, good, man. Yourself?
Yeah, good. What's happening?
Yeah, chilling, man.
Are you locked down?
Say again?
Are you staying in? Are you locked down?
Yeah, of course, man. Of course. Man's got loads of weed, loads of music. Like, yeah, family all locked down. Yeah, blessed.
Well, yeah, nice. I haven't been out since like Sunday afternoon, so
Mad.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty cabin fevery, to be honest, and I'm just trying to like make the best of the setup I've got at home. I've basically moved all my monitor speakers out of the studio and brought my computer home, and I've got it set up like on the coffee table.
Sick.
I think me and my missus are going to kill each other.
Yeah, of course. Definitely a breakup or two.
Anyway, it's like a good time to like get stuck into some other projects, and to be honest, I thought the setup I had at my studio was ragtag. This is ragtag. Like I'm like sat on the sofa with cables like all out of me, like, and
Man,
just
it's the way. As long as it works, mate, it don't matter what it looks like.
Exactly, it does work just about, I think. Yeah, so like I was really excited actually to do this because we got so much out of that little 10-minute chat we did the other day about the tune we did.
Yeah, man.
So it's going to be super cool to expand on that a bit more, really. So I've just been sort of going through all the notes I made over the summer about the podcast and just sort of refreshing my memory, really. And I started off when I was talking to Luke and Darren, and I started off and asked them like about the questions they would sort of ask their idols if they had a chance to ask them. You know, like about their process and stuff like that. Because obviously the idea of this podcast really, mate, is like it's not to focus on like the tools that people use, but more just sort of how their process looks and what their day-to-day looks like and their routines and sort of, you know, the struggles and really what you're trying to say and all these kind of other endeavors really that creative people are trying to work on. So I was going to kick off with the same question, but I think given what's going on, someone actually suggested something in the Facebook group that I set up, which was to ask, given what's going on in terms of like the coronavirus shit, is to ask how like your environment and your surroundings and what's going on can have an effect on what you do, and also whether what you do creatively can have an effect on how you feel about this stressful situation that we're in.
I think not much in the process or my day or my life has really changed, because apart from gigging, I'm a hermit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nobody sees me anyway, so I stay in the house and work. That's why people see such a work rate or like such a amount of tracks coming out, you know, or whatever, is because this is you know, like some people might, I don't know, I speak to people and they some people say they have to like be in the mood or create or some atmosphere or some thing for how they work, but really I'm just isolated in my own head, which is, you know, which can be a good thing and a bad thing, but it's I'm always pretty conspiracy. I'm always pretty like, don't drink tap water, you know, like fucking, you know, tinfoil hat, semi tinfoil new era. So I'm like, you know, yeah. So not a lot's changed at all, apart from
You've got company now, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the missus and the little and that. So yeah. So you know, but yeah, not much really has changed. You know, I wake up in the morning and before I do anything, I come into the studio and like turn on the computer, listen to what I was doing last night. You know, go to my sort of, you know, legitimate sources of information online. You know, do the rounds, and then I you know, then the music, you know, the music starts. Walk the dog, and then the music starts.
So you've got quite a fixed routine with the way that you do things.
Well, just like you know, it's like it's like breathing in it. That's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, if when I'm on tour or if I'm away from home and I can't get up and go straight into the studio, it has an adverse effect on my mood. On, you know, yeah, like taking a drug away from somebody, or
yeah. I think that seems to be quite a common thing. Like, in all the prep I've done for this and in the previous discussions I've done, it seems like people who are like true sort of alchemist types, if they can't or are unable to make, they really struggle. And I must say, like, since like just today, yesterday, well, I've lost track, but like the days of this week where I've not been able to go to studio, and like a lot of the time, again, it's not much is happening, but it's giving yourself the opportunity for something to happen, and I find that really stressful when you have to pull yourself out of it. And you're right. I think there's a good analogy. It's like a drug.
Yeah, it's side effects, and you know, if I'm with my missus or whatever, it'll be, you know, it might come out moodiness or anger or like, so, you know, like, but it's just because that thing's been taken away from me. Do you know what I mean?
You need to have a word with my missus and tell her it's not just me, because it's difficult, isn't it? Because it does just bleed over into every part of your life, and it's like, yeah. I find if things are going well creatively, then things are going well everywhere and in every sense of my life, and vice versa, which is a fucking ball ache, obviously, but just does have that effect. I'm working on it, but let's put it that way. It's just like a lifelong bit of work, is just improve the dynamics of that thing. Okay, there's so many different ways we could go off here, right? So routines, I guess, is one thing that a lot of people talk about being really important for their creative pattern, and you've obviously just sort of spelled out that if you can't, you struggle. But is there sort of patterns within that? Like, do you have to do things in a certain order, or like what can set your day up the right way and what can set it up the wrong way within that thing, within that sort of pattern? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No. It's like I was saying with the the guns thing, where you're recreating the same thing but with a different process every single time.
Yeah.
It's just there's no, it's just there, in it. It's just like whatever I need to get off my chest today. I don't know what it is until I start. Now I could like be flicking through hip hop beats. I could be going through drum and bass. I could be even making. I might even get up and make a beat. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But whatever.
Has it always been like that for you? For what, like work wise? There must have been was there ever a period where you were like, where it wasn't like you wake up and
it's always been like that. It's just like I was saying in the other interview we did, it's with time in it, and you're letting go of baggage, and then it reveals that it was always there. It was just yourself stopping that process from happening. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just your little hang-ups, or that's not good enough, or that sounds like this, or this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What you tell yourself, what you instantly voice in your head tells yourself every time you listen to something. You know, it's not you, it's the voice in your head that decides whether you like something. Oh, we don't like this, and then oh yeah, I'm not into this. You know what I mean? That's before it comes out your mouth.
Yeah.
So you know, you know, the more that with age or time or what, you know, you get at your art form, is the clearer. Basically, every year or whatever it is, dulling that voice a little bit, and it gets quieter and quieter until you're just. Then it's like being a vessel for this creativeness. It's just going to happen, and it's just like, let me get myself in the best, you know, situation or mood or time for that to happen, innit? You know what I mean? So it's just, yeah. But I think what I said last time with the freestyle thing, it accelerated it. It's like made it twice as fast because like I say, the very first time I hear something, if I'm into it, you know, within 16 bars I'll have a melody or the swing of a rap, you know, and then maybe within 32 I'll have the first line, and then once I've got the first line, it's gonna roll off that. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
But it's just like it's also, it came from not having a studio and time being very precious in the studio, so it accelerated how much I could get done in an hour. Or it could, you know, I used to book a studio and do like 7-8 tunes in an hour. The engineer, what the fuck, you know what I mean? But I'm just like bam 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 bam, right, ad-libs, move on. You know what I mean? Like fucking.
So with that said, that's really interesting actually, because there's I made a couple of notes before, right? So a couple of the key themes are that I've discussed before with Darren and with Luke, and it'll probably be key themes for all of it, is like the relationship with imperfection and how you know when to let go of a tune. And what I'm not quite getting, but I'm sure you're going to tell me, and this should be quite interesting actually, is you're really prolific, so you probably but you work really hard and work really long hours, but I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you don't really struggle to let go of an idea once it's done. You kind of, it seems like you don't need to do revisions. You kind of just like, you're confident in what it is, and then you let it go, right?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That only came with time and putting down personal baggage and whatever, you know, your pre-programming. That's like, after I put that down, it's like anything that comes out of my mouth, I trust in it. It's like, you know, I've been doing it long enough or whatever. And also, nothing has a value until you, like, at the producer, you put a value on it. Because to me, like I say, it might take me a couple of hours to get it to you, but that for me to write, it probably took about 3 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, just like that fast process, and then I sit with it.
But the 3 minutes couldn't have happened if you hadn't done like 20 years on it already. You know, honing the skill.
Only the 20 years of putting down back pre-program, like the baggage of questioning things. You know, which is human nature, innit? So
you can't say that it's only the baggage that stopped you from being able to do what you do. Surely.
Yeah, I feel like I don't feel any different from being 16 or whatever when I first started doing it, and I had the words and obviously the life the life experience to put into the music, but the actual ability or the actual spark what makes this happen, I've always had it. And the frustration is, for financial reasons, never having a studio to be able to go into, which was the first 10 years of my career. Then the next 10 years was signing with Good Looking and Solar and all these things going on. And then, learning the process for myself, how to do it, so I didn't need anyone. And now the next 10 years, which is like I'm 3 years into of my career, like 23 or 4 years, is just divine creation. Just like just like without any boundaries or questioning of anything. Just like that came out, and that's got to be right.
So what happened then? So what made that leap? Was there any like tangible moment, or was it just like a slow process?
No, it's a slow process, but then like major life incidents will accelerate. So then like say like Salford John passing and Marcus, then relationship things, then blah blah blah. But each one of them sort of accelerates it, because it's, people might look at, I've had people say to me, "Oh, you're really unlucky," like this series of events or whatever. But really, I think them, without sounding mad, they could have been gifts, and all it did was accelerate how I thought inwards and processed mortality quicker than, or processed grief or the life, what the important things, and with them things happening which are unlucky. Also, like it's just been like a lesson which has happened quite a lot of recent time, that constantly reminded me of but like reminded me of these the fundamentals of life and the fundamentals of emotion and love and loss.
It's like turning sorry, I just totally cut you off, but it's like turning a horrible or negative experience and trying to take the best out of it, kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I do believe in religiously or divine power or whatever. I believe there's something, and I believe there's a path that we're walking, and I believe these lessons were dealt to me because I needed to say these things to the world, and if it was for one person or whoever, someone was meant to hear that at that time. So it's it can get really deep on it, but it's really a series of unfortunate, fortunate incidents that got me to this like sort of divine place where it's like you move, it's like Neo in it. It's like where you move, everything's moving at full speed, but you're in slow motion. You can just like, you've got the time to deliver it. It's just it's hard to put into words.
No, I think
the best way I could put it.
I think you're putting it pretty well. I think it's like I think the one thing I'm learning as you go on is that actually it's really even though we're just in a small like genre of music, it just has power. Even if you're like connecting with 10 people, if you connect with 10 people who you think and they tell you it's making a difference, I'm realizing as I get a bit older how powerful that is. I went through all my 20s and early 30s just thinking, like people come up to you and go, "I love your music," but actually you realize how powerful that is.
Yeah, and like obviously we don't know what people are going through in their lives. Absolutely. Like say, like constant reminder. Yeah, I don't know that half of the world are going through a breakup, and every time they turn on the radio or they fucking, there's a love song or there's a song that we liked or rare, and they don't, I don't know that I'm going through a breakup and half of the world is. I didn't do that for that. It's just how I felt that day and put it out, and and then while the tune's out, I'm getting like 20 messages a day of people saying, "Oh man, fucking I was fucking close to doing something crazy and I heard this tuning, or I was this and that, or what I mean." And then like so, I just can't take them as coincidences. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, why did I wake up feeling like that? Obviously I was going through a breakup, but at the same time, you know, I could have got up and had a spliff and made a tune about weed. You know what I mean? Or I could have fucking, you know what I mean? But it's that simple. It's just how the day started or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's yeah.
So is this? So I guess actually that does lead us into sort of what we're dealing with now. I guess is, and it's how I feel about being like without gigs now and pretty much housebound and feeling a very low to high level of stress all day for the last few days. It's like parts of me is feeling like stressed and kind of worried about that, but the other part of me just thinks, right, well, I'll just double down and I'm try and create connection or create community or work on something. Like I've in the last few days I've probably spoken to more people I haven't spoken to in a while than I have in ages, and I've decided to go for it, like record more of these basically because I've got time. I know what I want to talk about,
and people want to hear. You know, people want to hear this stuff. The people, you know, I noticed from, excuse me, just that little, you know, the little intro for the tune that we did, just the response and like people, you know, you know, you think people just want to hear the tunes, but they do. It's like us as fans of music or skate or whatever it is. You know, you know, with the skaters, I watch these documentaries with them now where they're explaining, you know, why they was a dick in the 90s and why they was whatever, and it's just like, you know, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, it makes you appreciate their art even more, and that time. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's all hand in hand.
Absolutely, it does go hand in hand, and also creating those connections and creating those relationships with people who consume your music or just want to listen to the podcast and get some ideas. I've just found so many people have messaged, and like I messaged this to a couple of people the other day. I was just like, I'm just so amazed, right? And it's not a brag or anything, but like having 10, 20 people message you just going like, I was just having like really pointing out that it's just so nice to know that people who do this semi-professionally or professionally or for a living or whatever still have all the same baggage and trouble and life kind of hurdles to overcome.
Yeah, of course.
And you know, creating that rather than sort of giving this kind of perception that you're smashing it or like above everyone, it's actually just kind of bringing everyone up to like or into the same fold and just being like, nah, I got a lucky break, I've worked really hard and this is what I do, and there is no kind of secret really. It's just like work on your talent, work on your time. And that's like one of the things actually now, if people are going to be housebound and without work and hopefully they're not stressed about money and we get some sort of something, is to maybe you know, put your time into that thing that you want to put your time into, because I'm hoping that the other side of this will have some more
what if this is the last, you know, what if these are the last days in it? What if this is just like we've been lied to and like you staying in your house and like this is it, you know, like stay with your loved ones, bam, it's over. Like, you know, what do you want to leave here? What's the last thing you want to fucking? Because me personally, the one thing I can say, like, you know, I ain't got no money, I ain't got fuck all, but what I have got is a back catalogue of shit that, like, when you go through it, I haven't compromised once in my life. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you know, that's, for me, that's, you know, a time capsule to be left for the world forever, you know, for whoever comes next or whatever happens, you know what I mean? So it depends what you want to do with your time, and like, if this is the last time the world hears my voice, then I'm dropping some knowledge on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, so, yeah, it is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, love that. Okay, so I think you've kind of spelled some out inadvertently without me asking you this, but have you got any like rules or like mantras that you sort of live your life by, creatively or otherwise?
Yeah, just you know, spread love and live your life to its fullest potential, without, as long as your happiness is not detrimental to somebody else's unhappiness, and that's it. That is it. You know, like I do the things I enjoy. Still try and skate. You know, I do music every day. You know, I'm heavily invested in hip hop and hip hop culture. Even the sad state is, you know, like the same things make me happy that made me happy as a kid. You know what I mean? Like fucking, and it's just that's the mantra. It's like you've got to retain 50% child and take on 50% adult. If you take on too much of either, we all know people like that, and you know, at times I've been one of them people, you know, who stay too child, you know, to like a teenager, but you know, also with music, it's one of those things, and skate and art, which allows you to be the same age for your whole life. Your body might whatever, but your mentality and your creative spark never changes. And I always find, you know, we've all got friends who were like, you know, amazing skaters or amazing artists or amazing musicians, and for some reason they just stopped. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, I you know, how I practice music and how important it is to me, and I know how important it was to them at that time. It must be like they must wake up every day like, boy, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy to think.
Like, I remember being, I'm gonna have to check in with him. I might just leave this in the edit, but my dad, when I was a kid, was a conga player, and he toured with some amazing musicians. He toured with he played with Bernard Purdie and Johnny Lytle and Puccio and loads of other, like, you know, if you're into your drum breaks, you'll know who Bernard Purdie is. And when I was born, I didn't know this until I was older, obviously. And I think like there was a time when he was nearly in Stomp. Like, I think he was around in the early days of Stomp and then just didn't stay in it. And he's now, he's retired now, but he became a teacher and he taught for his whole adult life. But he still carried on playing congas. But I still wonder with him whether he has any regrets about the potential of him going on to do music. But then at the same time, it was like, at the point I think that he did that, I was born and he's got 4 other children now. So it's like, it was just a different life path for him, and he still absolutely loves music.
Yeah,
but I still think, and I guess this is me being a bit younger to be and also without kids, but I wonder what compromises I'll have to make in my life. And I wonder whether I'll be able to make them. And that's definitely a struggle for me. It's like,
yeah, but that's that's the sad and sometimes dark side of the other side of art, where, you know, like I said, my philosophy is like, be happier without hurting people. But in relationships, you know, you do hurt people,
especially being a creative person.
That's what I'm saying. And like,
tough.
You know, and obviously the vices that come with the hours we work, and, you know, drugs and drink and and, you know, these are all factors which tend to dull the art and create more problems for yourself, and more sort of selfishness in relationships, and more where that voice I talked about earlier in your head is making excuses before you say them, rather than apologizing and trying to fix things or whatever. So that, you know, there's, you know, as people will know, if they're in music or art or they're getting into it, you know, there is pitfalls that come with, you know, spending all your time in the studio or spending all your time trying to better your craft or whatever. But it's like I said before, you know, if the coronas thing and it was the end, then what, you know, why did you compromise? You know what I mean? And also, I've noticed it's a lot of people who've got money who are worried, and it could be the people who had no money, or, you know, they're going to stay in the same position. They're going to be a little worse off, but a lot of people are going to lose a lot of things with this thing, and it could be the reset. Do you know what I mean? It could be the financial reset. So, you know, it's. I went a little bit off track, but it's
no, not at all. Yeah. I think it's good. I like the idea that it will potentially be a leveler, and I also like the idea that off the back of it, even if it's like 6 weeks, right? Imagine how much you could do in 6 weeks if you felt secure and you just like, right, I'm going to get stuck in.
Well, just even thinking about it like that. What if things never went back to how they were?
Yeah.
Or what if, you know what I mean? Like, what if, you know, what's, for all this time you've been on this earth up to this point of reset, what have you done, and what's to show for it? Do you know what I mean? And this 2 weeks in your house could be the last time, you know. Who knows what's going to happen? There's talk of armies going into the streets, keeping people in the houses. There's talk, you know, all kinds of shit going on. So, you know, what have they turned on the internet off tomorrow? Like, what,
Fuck.
you know what I mean? It's like, that's what I'm saying, man. You know what? Get some shit done and get it out into the world, and it's just like, who knows?
Someone actually said to me earlier, they go, don't bank on Netflix. I'm just torrenting everything now, getting it all downloaded so that if the internet goes down. I was just like, fair point. I was like, fair point. Do me a Dropbox link. Cheers.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
There you go. But I'm just looking at my vinyl collection. You know, a couple of thousand vinyls on my decks, and it's just like, shit, I'm gonna be on them in the next week or so. I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, man. Just use that time, man. Fucking
Don't waste it.
Yeah, and if it does go back to normal, you're going to be ready once time things kick back in it. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, that's kind of that's the best way to look at it, and that's the best. I think. Well, for me, it would be the best way to look at it. I've spent enough time kind of stressed about it. On Sunday, I mean, I probably shouldn't have, and I probably didn't need to. But on Sunday, I was just like, right, I'm getting all my gear out of the studio because it's 10 miles away from my house, and I was just like, I can't leave it all there, even though it's got locks on all the doors. It would have been secure. I was just like, I can't, because if we get locked down and I haven't got it, then
man, that's going to be a sanity, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I've literally got headphones, sound card, brand new computer, and I'm just going to do loads of these podcasts, keep myself ticking over, and just finish some music and get that all ready. I think I'm hoping like George, I was speaking to George Dub Physics about it a lot, and I really like his sort of mantra was that we need to, like, creative people need to be the tonic to like people's downtime. So everyone's going to be in it now. Everyone's going to be having a rough time. So people who make good shit need to be sort of there to like keep people's spirits up, I guess, is to like,
man.
I just feel like that's going to be a really important thing. And there's going to be a lot of kind of coming together and supporting each other and supporting people who are having a shit time and offering them kind of access to stuff that's going to keep them sane if they're having to stay in their own house.
Yeah, of course, man.
And
when it's all escaping it. So, you know, the more time goes on and stuff, I look at music and art, it's like meditation, innit? It makes you, you know, if you hear like, you know, fucking whoever, Photech track or whatever, it makes you hold your breath for 6 minutes, innit?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's meditation. That's all meditation, isn't it? It's all about breath and holding your breath.
Yeah, it's like controlling your body basically, and
and without any consciousness, and you know, all control is gone. You can't control that when you know, music or a piece of art takes your breath, and you're lost in it. You know, it's not controllable. So you know, it's meditation. It's like, you know, it's not pre-thought in any way, you know. So yeah, I think, and that's what people are going to need, you know, right now to be able to hold it.
Do you do any meditation, or do you just sort of
Yeah, no, I do. I do meditation. I'm into like crystals and all this universe chakra business. You know, that's something with time. You know, I feel like I was always meant to come across it. You know, like, or it was always there for me, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like once I discovered it, it was it's changed my life totally, and kind of belief about how things happen, and you know just how things work. If you're into that kind of thing, you know what I'm talking about, like work and stuff.
Yeah, okay. I did a few years ago, I did the Transcendental Meditation course. It was like 3 days or something. It was pretty good. I was pretty amazed, and I felt like immediate relief, and I was just like, shit, this thing's amazing. But it's just, I think because I didn't make it part of my routine, it really quickly fell away. And it's also like 40 minutes of the day. It's like 20 minutes in the evening and 20 minutes in the morning.
Yeah.
And it is a really powerful thing, and you do realize actually it just gives you that little bit of clarity. I found like my thoughts were just more ordered and stuff like that. And
yeah, man. And it's just when things get on top, and like you know, them points where I feel like I'm gonna blow and like fucking put my head through a door or something. It's just like, yeah, I can just set my thoughts for like 30 seconds, like just start breathing, and I'm more, you know, it's already past. You know what I mean? It's past, and I'm like, right, shoot, right, and whatever or if then when you can't sleep or whatever, I can put myself into sleep like within seconds just through meditation. Do you know what I mean? It's just them things with our job. Is a kind of powerful, real powerful tool.
I can basically like control, and I'm going to caveat this in a second, but I can pretty much control a lot of things within my brain. Like now I can, but not before.
Pain, or
yeah, I mean,
like you thumb with a hammer or whatever, or you fucking, things like that. It's
my one is I can control mood to a certain extent, and the caveat is apart from when I'm like in an argument with someone, it just becomes all irrational at that point. Unfortunately,
yeah, because that's another point when that voice kicks in. And it's just like, don't have him speak to you like that. Who are you speaking to like that?
Yeah. Like emotion comes into it. It's where there's no emotion, it's cool. And exactly. Ego and emotion come in.
Yeah, and the more ego, that's kind of the key to life. And the baggage, what I'm talking about is actually ego. It's just the more ego you put down, like the easier things become, and like you realize, everything's not a personal attack on you. It's just a statement. And you're just because you're feeling a bit insecure about something, you take that as a personal. It's not. It's just like whatever it is in it. Do you know what I mean? It's just, but it's not. And them things are key to sort of this getting to this place. Now, don't get me wrong. I have the days where none of it works and rare. Now blow up and make a fool of myself or whatever, but they're more few and far between than when they used to be every day. You know what I mean? Like, so.
But like I said, it's kind of like a lifelong bit of work, isn't it? You're constantly working on it, and you're constantly trying to filter it.
And then literally, the last bit of your life, you get to the super zen place where like I know what this all works, and then it's your time, innit? That's the. Yeah, it's crazy, but that's just how things work, isn't it?
It's funny you say that actually about ego, because I've been listening and reading a lot about this, like research into psychedelics and lots of kind of mental health issues, and there's lots of stuff written about it. Michael Pollan, go and look at it. I'm not going to go through all of it, but it's like North America are trialing psychedelics again for end-of-life anxiety, chronic depression, all sorts of things like that. Anyway, so the quote at the end of the tune, the end of the Cheap Love tune, is Michael Pollan from who wrote the book How to Change Your Mind about psychedelics. And it's so mad that you just said that about ego, because like literally that quote is him saying, it's talking about how psychedelics work in the sense of making your ego break down and you get a better perspective of your life. Anyway, he says the ego builds walls and it isolates you from the world rather than making you part of the world. And it's just funny that you just mentioned that when that's literally the quote at the end of that tune. And you know what else I thought was fucking mental, pardon my French? When that got played on Radio 1 on Thursday night at 7:30, Annie Mac left the whole thing to play out. So at 7:30 in the evening, you've got this Michael Pollan quote just being played with nothing over the top of it. It's so mad. Like talking about like ego and love and like psychedelics.
Someone somewhere in the back of the BBC was fucking rolling in the grave there.
They're like, no, don't put that on the radio, please. Okay, so this is a difficult question because you use lyrics, and I've basically been talking to people who are like producers or artists who work in more abstract forms rather than literal words. But how does what you're making, music-wise and lyric-wise, get inside like the ideas and like the sort of message that you're trying to send? That sounds like a weird question because it's obviously lyrics, but like, is there like an overarching message or feeling or something that you're trying to get over in your art?
It's kind of just honesty, innit? It's just like I'm like every time I put down a piece of ego, I can say something else in it. Like there's not, I feel like, there's not much further I can go. Like, you know what I mean? Like fucking in my reality, to be more truthful and to be more transparent and to, put it in a format of education or music or whatever it is, but just being able to keep that balance is I think the key to it all for me.
I like that.
You know?
So it's like you're trying to encourage that in everyone else as well by...
Yeah, of course, because the music I listen to is similar music to what I make, where, you know, I'm like, wow, you know, how can they be that honest, or how can they, you know what I mean? But when I'm doing that, I realize it feels good, and it's also, you're speaking to somebody else, like I said earlier, where you don't know just how you're feeling that day is how everyone else is feeling. And I suppose that's a hit. I suppose that's like a worldwide hit record where, you know, maybe not so much today because things can be manipulated, but back in the past where, you know, a David Bowie, a guy from London in makeup in a time where you could be like, that was the worst thing you could possibly ever do. And he makes a worldwide hit that, you know, the whole world loves and still love now. You know, that's not a coincidence. You know what I mean? It's you know, and it's a similar thing. You know.
Mad. So you make a lot of music and you put out a lot of music, and it feels like you've got music out all the time, right?
Yeah.
So how do you? What's your relationship like with sort of editing and sort of holding back and I guess picking and choosing what you work on and how that comes into the world? Because like, for example, I like to sort of this new thing that I'm doing as Workforce, I'm putting out quite a bit of music. Like I did 3 EPs last year, I've done 1 already this year, and well, it's coming, but then like 2 more planned. So there's a lot of, for a producer, that's a lot. But for you do probably even more than that. And I wonder what that editing process looks like. And also actually because you often collaborate with other people and work on other people's projects, how that has an impact on your ability to sort of pick and choose when and what comes out.
Yeah. Well, firstly, I think that the sort of, when I talked about the creative process, where the idea of, I hear a tune, like within a few bars of the tune, I know what's going to happen and I know where we're kind of going with it. And if it's for somebody else, I'll kind of speed up the process. So if you send me that tune, you probably had it back within an hour or 2 or whatever. You know, that's like the creative spark of creation. Wow, acceleration. Then it's also for you, for your project. So you need that to wherever. So that speed it all up. Whereas sometimes I'll create something and for some reason I feel like the world's not ready for it or whatever. Like it's a bit ahead of the curve. A couple of other things, what I've been making, need to come out first to let people know I'm in this frame of mind, rather than just going from like constant reminder to count to 10 or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, wow, he's in this like sort of reflective love mode, and now he's like fucking wanted to put his foot through something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so there's that, and there's also like saturation, and like sometimes, you know, I like to hold back for a little bit and whatever, but you know, I just think you can never put too much good music into the world. You know, like people, you can't, you know, if you put in make big projects after big projects with no gaps, like there's no time for a breather, or for people to miss you, or for people to, you know what I mean, really appreciate what you're doing, which I find a lot with my stuff. But the rate it pours out of me, it's got to come out of this thing, because I couldn't face the frustration of having all this shit sat on a hard drive.
Sure.
You know? And you know, don't get me wrong, there's thousands of things sat on a hard drive like that you know, I'd love to give to the world, but I just feel like it's not the time yet, or it's not.
Yeah.
We'll need to find that when I'm gone or something.
And you'll fit, like, when it's kind of one of those, isn't it? And that's, again, I think we talked about this before, is you'll know when it's ready to come out, because you'll be able to do it at that point. Like,
of course.
Well, like when it feels natural, that's when you will do it, because that's when you can. So
that's another key to music, is knowing that exactly, you know, that point when to, you know, hold back or let it go, or to, you know, just take it easy for a minute, or whatever it is, you know. It's that's more with this divine knowledge and with time, and, you know what I mean, sort of getting the key to life, and then like, it's your time, you know what I mean. It's just, you know what I mean, there's
so is
nothing.
That so what do you advise people, like rappers and stuff, when they ask you that question? Like, what's, like, say, like the kind of the most obvious question, which is like, what's the secret? Like, if anyone asked you that, rapper or not rapper, or just someone who wanted to be in whatever they wanted to be in, or what's your answer to that question?
I think the secret is honesty. I think it's honesty, and that works on so many levels. It's honesty, what you're portraying to the people. It's honesty to yourself, what you want out of this, and what your expectations are of your career. And it's honesty with how your stuff comes into the world and how it's released, and, you know, that, you know, obviously as an artist, you know, you're a control freak, and you know how you want it to look and sound, and and it's just like having, you know, the honesty to compromise, and to, with yourself, to, you know, yeah, that's enough, and and if, I think with them few things, you probably have no problems with your career, with art, you know, with any label trouble, any because it'd all be out in the open. But it's like, have honesty of your expectations, you know. Like, I know I can make great music, but I also know, well, I don't know, because anything's possible, but, like, you know, it's more than likely it's not going to be the Rolling Stones, or it's not going to be the and that's something that probably up to the last 10 years, I probably actually still thought might happen. You know what I mean? And that's not wrong to do that. And I still have aspirations, and to want to aim high and get the music to heard by as many people as possible in the most perfect way. You know what I mean? But it's, at the same time, I have an honesty, and that's more like, everything's coming back to ego. Do you know what I mean? But it's just that, you know, just knowing, like, yeah, it might not, you know, it might not do this, and it might not do that, and what's the contingency? What you're gonna do if that doesn't happen? Is that the end of your career? Was you doing everything just for that glory, or was you doing because it's art, and you was born to make art? You know what I mean? And that's probably, that whole statement, what I just said there, that could be put on a t-shirt for MCs and musicians. That's probably the key to it all.
It's goals. It's solid, good goals and solid, good expectations. It's like, you'll never be happy if you set a goal that's unattainable, and you'll never be happy if you set an expectation that you can never meet.
And that works in your career. That works in your career and in relationships.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's exactly the same. It's like, get married and travel the world and 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 you want to do that, but you're also a musician. It's not going to happen. So this is, if we like, we met up on the first date and was like, yeah, I love to do this, yeah, I love to do that, and you was honest, then you might not have ended up in a relationship together. But if you did, it'd be a total different situation.
Yeah.
Because the expectation is already managed before you've, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know, before you've even gone into this arrangement, you know, and like I say, that can be a business arrangement, relationship. It can be as an artist. It can be, that's life, innit? You know what I mean? Like, it's managed them expectations. Everyone will be so unhappy, you know what I mean? Like, because, you know, a 20 to 30-year-old woman watches The Only Way Is Essex, and they think, like, that's how they live, and that's how I could live like that with a few subtle changes. You know what I mean? And you couldn't, you know, it's too late. You know what I mean? But it's just like the advertisement and TV and all these things are set up to make you think that's still obtainable. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's just manage, you know, be honest with yourself and everyone else.
And also, I guess that comes down to, like, being grateful and I can't think of the other word, but, like, acknowledging that, like, you're content, and, like, wanting more isn't a good thing.
Your position's not so bad. You know, like, it's but, you know, social media, you know, society, so in some ways, and is set up for you to want more than you can actually ever have. So, you know, whether it's through borrowing, whether it's through whatever, everyone lives above their means, trying to obtain this thing what they'll never have in it. And that's why people die unhappy, and like they die on the deathbed and it was like, oh, I should have skated every day. You know what I mean? I should have skated the shop every day, or I should have just like whatever. It's just like them, you know, and it's sad, but you was trying to chase something that you'd never have, which no fault of your own was fed to you, but then it was on your personal, you know, honesty and expectations of, you know, and just that's in the situation. Like if it was money or something, it's like, well, this time is that it's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like it's fucking yeah. So it's a bit of a it's a harsh slap in the face, but that's what I'd say. You know, and it'll say, like I said, it'll save you a lot of a heartache in the end.
It's good. It's good mantra to live your life by, and I think this is almost like a little therapy session, mate. It's good, and I think I think
you know what, you wouldn't believe how many people ring me up or get in touch for like who call me uncle and just like need a few words. It's not like it's not even this divine knowledge. It's just that I've messed up so many things in my life that I've found some kind of like some place in there of light, mate.
Nice. I like that. So to I guess we should probably focus a little bit on like music side, I guess. What do you make your own beats as well?
Yeah. But I make house, hip hop, and all in between. Everything up apart from drum and bass.
Okay. So I guess like where this differs for you as a vocalist more so than a producer, and compared to like the other producers I've spoken to, I guess it would be like, rather than what are you trying to get at sound wise if you don't write lyrics. So, you know, like with Luke LSB doesn't write lyrics, but he's, you know, trying to get a mood.
It's the same thing though, isn't it?
It's a mood.
It's exactly the same. It's just that emotive, that emotion. It's like, that's why me and Luke work so well together, or Caliber, because we're in that sort of soulful, reflective, moody, sometimes like sad, you know what I mean? Like it's very close to the bone, and that's why you know, me and him and or Caliber or, you know, that kind of thing works so well. You know, it's exactly the same. He you know, the first few seconds what start the spark for me is like, that's just like a tiny insert into like Luke's soul or how he felt that day, the same way the lyrics are. So, you know, I hear that and it's like, rah, it does touches my heartstrings, and then that's what, you know, that's what writes itself, you know, and it's that's probably, I probably just explained something to myself there. You know what I mean? But it's exactly that. It's just tapping into somebody else's fucking life for like a bar or two.
Yeah, and you're almost like communicating with each other, but without saying anything to start with.
Exactly. And like say the Blue Hour, I was going through a lot, as you can hear, and Luke kind of came in there with me. We was on tour in America, and he kind of, because he was spending time with me, you could obviously tell something was wrong, and I was sad. So he kind of, you know, sacrificed his own happiness for a minute to come in there with me. You know what I mean? Like, and which is, you know, is one of my best friends. It's like, it's a friend thing to do, but musically as well. So he came in there with me to support me, but he also came in there with me to let's get the best out of this situation, out of these blues, you know what I mean? Like, and yeah, it's mad. And it's like, even like the title, the Blue Hour, that came from, he already had that title. He said, I want to do an hour of music that's like this, and then that was after we'd done it. You know, he's like, well, I've got this, sorry. He was like, sorry, I've got this title, the Blue Hour, you know, and I wanted it to be an hour long. And it was like, well, we've got an hour of blue, fucking blue, you know what I mean? Like, so that's why these fucking series of incidents and aren't accidents, you know what I mean? I feel like, you know, everything's tied up, and it's just like, you've just got to wait to be tricked into that situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny. He said actually when I did the podcast with him, we spoke for a long time, like 2.5 hours, and obviously I've known Luke for like 15 years or something. And one of the interesting things he said was about colour and about how he's not got that synesthesia thing, but he's trying to kind of create that moody colour association with music. I wonder if you've got anything like that, like not just colour, but like other sort of
no, definitely, man, definitely. And like even down to, my studio is constantly dark, curtains closed, and I have some like purple LED lights, like real sort of low, and that's from morning till night, till like the curtains never open, and like, and that's kind of the mode I'm in. Do you know what I mean? Like, my missus comes in like, I fucking can't see shit. Like that, you know what I mean? Like, but it's I don't know. It's that sort of at nighttime isolation, like kind of
And you work during the day and not during the night, or a bit of both?
Both.
Okay.
Both. I work all day. I go down we'll eat together. We'll watch some TV till like 11, 12, and then I'll go back in till about 4 or 5.
Fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So what do you do, like on the days where you get in there and it's not happening, or does that not happen very often?
No, it's just I haven't got the inspiration. I mean, if I haven't got the music to inspire me, then I'll make it. I'll make beats, and then make some other kind of tunes, and then hopefully by the end of the day, and a load of beats come in or whatever. Because obviously, I ask. Obviously, we talk, and I'm like, oh, send me a few beats, and you send them over, and I do that with a lot of people. So if and they'll be staggered in it. So like, I'll get some off you and then do some stuff, and then they'll run out. I'll do a bit of hip hop and some other stuff, and then a load come in. You know what I mean? Or every other day or whatever. So it's just constantly having that, that inspiration. But like I say, if information becomes dangerous in this coronavirus or whatever, they're going to lock off the internet, and then it's going to be you're going to have what you've got, so like you better start like toilet paper stacking, mate, with beats.
I think you're behind. If you're only just starting to stack toilet paper, you're like a bit late to the game, mate, to be honest.
No, definitely.
So other than music, you've mentioned skating. I know you like skating and stuff like that.
I love it.
Are you just with your skating, just to really sort of hone the skating thing, do you just like rolling around, or do you actually go to skate parks and like skate like tricks and stuff?
A bit of both, but these days it's more like using the board daily to go to shop or whatever, and like ollie the curb.
Hurts though, doesn't it, when you're older?
In 5 minutes.
It's why I quit. It just hurts too much, like falling over.
And that's not. But this is where we need, like backtrack again. It's like it's honesty. It's honesty with yourself. It's like, in your mind, you still think you could be pro someday. No, you can't. You're 40 years old. You fucking, you know what I mean? Like and that's why these injuries come in, because it's like, I used to be able to 360 flip the driveway. So with a bit of practice, I could do that again. No, you can't. Just do it. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, but them days are gone. And you might do it once, but you'll fuck yourself up for 2 hours before you do it. Won't be able to walk for a week. So just handle it, innit? It's fun just to roll around and just carve and just, you know what I mean? Like I say, there is days I can do a few flip tricks and there, and that still never left me. But it's more fun. It's more remembering that original rolling down a hill with your eyes streaming, just laughing to yourself, just like fucking. And that's kind of, that's my happy place. Whether it's, on stage doing music with my eyes closed and I'm just in that same place as rolling down a hill. It's the same adrenaline and same sort of,
Sick.
And
love that.
Yeah, man. It's so sometimes I forget about being honest to myself and think I can do the things I used to be able to do, but more time it's just like, just want to roll, man, and just want to like sit down with some kids and fucking just be a part of that culture and just, you know what I mean? I feel like it's the last punk, or it's the last kind of what hip hop was, you know, that voice or that like a bit of anger and angst. It's still never changed from that. You know, even like Travis Scott fucking coming in and force, you know, with his shoes and causing all kinds of shit and all this kind of stuff that goes on to infiltrate skate through fashion and all that. They still don't have it. You know what I mean? Like that kid, you've never met him before, and I go in the skate shop and he's just like, he's exactly how I am now. And he's like 13, you know, gripping boards for, you know, on Saturdays or something in the skate shop. And that's everything, you know what I mean? That, you know, so my like skate and hip hop are like my life, you know what I mean? Like
this is gonna feed in quite nicely into this other part of the discussion I want to have, which is I find as I'm getting older, like I naturally want to dress in a certain way, like that kind of street culture is really important to me, even though I'm probably the least street person on the planet. My girlfriend calls me the urban Morris dancer, the way I roll my trousers up. But it does feel important to me, as like it feels like the most natural way for me to be. But I'm conscious of like getting older, looking older, and people thinking it's weird. But also caring a bit less as I get a bit older about that sort of
of course.
That judgment. I wonder, like, it's a twofold question. Is like how that's evolved over time. So when you were younger to now, whether you worry about what people think about that aspect, but also how that works in terms of the critique of what you do. You know, do people still sort of think, do you ever find or come into contact with people who are like, what, you're that age and you're still making drum bass records and you're in a club, or you're involved in music, why don't you grow up and get a real job, sort of thing? How does your reaction to that work?
I think it's just it's like, you know, happiness is an inner feeling, you know, and if you know, like I was saying to my missus the other day, I was just like, I put on some like new white Adidas Continental and just put them on and I just felt $1 million, you know what I mean? I just felt like fucking, like nothing matters, like, you know, and that's a small piece of happiness that I've held on to for 6 months just for that day, you know what I mean? Like it's fucking, it's crazy, but it's just like, happiness is an inner feeling. If you want to go out, you know, if you're 40 years old, you want to go out and act like you're 18 and rave and take pills and like, I'm not condoning that, but I'm just saying, go and do it. And if people have got something to say about it, it's only because they're jealous and they're at home, they love doing that and they can't do it no more, or they've never done it and they just don't understand. You know what I mean? And it's the same with skating. Like, you know, there was a time, I'd say late 20s into early 30s, where I always wanted to go skating, but I felt ashamed to carry it around. I was living in the hood. I thought it had a certain connotation with fucking, you know, how they respect me, and like, you know, this, you know, like obviously the hood in the city is a total different thing. And if you don't, you have never come into contact with or never lived around, you won't understand. But it's like there's a certain insecurities that come with being in these places, and it's like, that's why everyone dresses in black in North Face and Nike and because not everyone's afraid to wear a white tracksuit or a pink one or you know what I mean. And also is for crime, so everyone looks alike, so you can't pick someone out of a crowd. But you know, that's one side of it. But also there's this insecurity of you've got to act a certain way, and me being an MC and and at that time my board didn't fit in there, just in my mind, innit? You know what I mean? And like like I say, that time soon passed, and I was just like, I used to go skating at late at night, and I used to, like, you know what I mean, do my shit like that. And then I was like, you know what? Like it was kind of like I said earlier on, with losing people and mortality and time comes into it, and it's just like, I'm doing what makes me happy. And you know, I'm sorry if that, you know, that doesn't fall under the philosophy what I said earlier, why my happiness, if it makes someone else unhappy, that's different. You know, that's you choosing to be unhappy about something that doesn't really concern you. You know what I mean? So
absolutely,
them days are gone, and I think the more time that goes on, the more flamboyant I'm getting, the more, you know, there's just things I wanted to do.
The less
when I
fucks
was,
you give, yeah.
you know, who cares, innit? You know, like, I want to be that old guy that they show, the old hype beast guy, you know, the Supreme and that, you know, that old dude. You know what I mean? Like, who cares, innit? I'm happy. That I got up that morning, I put on them clothes and it made me feel amazing. And that's before I did anything else with my day. So
perfect.
If people are hating on that, like, come on, man.
That's their problem, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess actually that's like that feeds into the next bit of what I wanted to talk about, which is like, if that's like the critique of you as a person and people's opinions and whatever, how do you deal with like the critique of the music you put into the world, and how do you find that? Do you find that difficult, like letting go, or do you worry about like critique and critical response, or is it?
Yeah, I just, you know, the same way I can listen to a tune for 4 bars, I will turn it off. You know what I mean? I will be like, nah, and I'll go to the next one. I won't like let it progress. It'll be gone, and it's like, that's me being a bit of a dick. But I just know. I know with time, I've spent that much time listening to the full tunes that I knew within the first 3-4 bars or whatever that it wasn't for me. Do you know what I mean? And it's, you know, so that's, you know, that's kind of applied to other aspects of life as well. Do you know what I mean? And
what do you mean if people are, if like, you know, what I guess what I'm trying to get at is like, when you put something out, if you were to get like a negative or a really positive review, would that have an impact either way for you?
No. Obviously, if it was like, oh, it's like, it's #1 in a chart, or it's won an award, or it's da, you know, it's like, okay, you know, that's great, but it's not really. Once I assess my ego, it's not really where I'm putting music into the world. So it's just like, look, if I can put this exactly on 100% honest music into the world, make enough money to scrape by just about, and, you know, yeah, that's pretty much it. I can support my family, I can then I'm fine. Like, I don't need much more than that. So any negative or positive is cool. You know, it's like, it's cool. I'm glad. It just lets me know that you listened to it and it made you feel a certain way, which is what it's meant to do. Same way me and you can look at the same painting. I'll love it and you'll hate it.
Yeah, it's subjectivity, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And ego, again, is the reason why you'll look through your comments and, you know, on YouTube or whatever, and be pissed off. You know what I mean? It's ego what drives you there, and then it's ego what hurts you when you're looking through it. Because it could be they're all amazing, and then one just like semi-negative one, and it can fuck up the bass.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean?
You know what? There's a really interesting thing about that, and I think I spoke about this before, maybe with Darren and maybe with Luke, can't remember, but it's from the Blind Boy podcast, and there's a bit where he's talking about being in the state of flow when you're creating, and you all 100% know what this is. It sounds like you actually live in a state of flow, but I'm going to question you. We'll talk a bit more about that in a sec. But he says when you're in a state of flow and things are just happening, and you know the piece is writing itself, it's making itself, it's painting itself, whatever. As soon as a critical voice comes in, like, this is fucking amazing, or this is fucking shit, or you start questioning it in any way, that's like the ego like jutting its way into somewhere it shouldn't be, and it's like you need to just keep that out of that pit. That's
why
thing.
It's like meditation, and if it's like meditation, that's what meditation is. It's the power to turn that voice off in your head and just be calm in it. You know, so that's why I think the musical process for me is kind of become that way. It's to now there's no voice kind of thing, and then once the actual creation is done, I come back and then I'll play it, and then that's when the voice is back, and it'll be like, oh, I'm not sure, or, you know, so I might sit on it for a few hours. But the best ones is like with Cheap Love and songs like that, where it's a stream. It's just one stream. It went from you to me into my computer, me through the mic, and the process never stopped until it got back to you. It was just like this sort of, just this like I say, it's kind of a stream of energy where it's just like bam, and I never had. You had it before I had time to think. Wait, is that?
Yeah, sick.
You know what I mean? Like, and they're like few and far between. You know what I mean? And like when people say, "Oh, a tune wrote itself," or you know, the I think it's Japanese. It's like I think it's called Mongo Mas, and it is Moga Mas. It's where you're a vessel, and you're just what do you call it? Kind of channeling some energy or some message that's coming down, and you're just the vessel that, so you start writing a track, you lose track of time, and like 2 hours later you kind of come back and there's a finished tune there and you don't remember making it, or you don't remember the process. They call that Mogo Mas.
Love that. That's amazing. How do you spell it?
I don't know, because it was Ben Sapphire's missus from Arcane who told me about it. So I'm probably even pronouncing it wrong, but it's something like that. It's like Mug and Mass or something like that. And because I was saying to her, that's how I write. Like, I don't know where the words come from, and most times it'll be this constant stream, and then I come back round and it's done. And she said, "Oh yeah, my dad's an artist, and this is Mug and Mass or what, I probably said it 10 times wrong, but it's something like that.
We'll find out, and then I'll add it into the notes or something. It reminds me of something I read that Caliber said, which was that when he's working, it's like having hold of the reins of a horse, and you're just holding on.
It's
just
that's what I'm saying. That's
itself.
That energy. Yes, the energy, and it's already in there, ready to go. So you wake up, and it's like you've got it's like you're hungry, but I'm not hungry.
Is that what I guess what I'm going to try and get at is that the thing you're addicted to, that feeling of flow and of making and of connection in that, or what is it about creating that you're so compelled to do every day?
It's like I have all this sort of information, emotion, melodies and words inside me all day, and they send you insane in it. So every track that I sort of get them out, it like gets like, a hard drive's worth out of my mind, and then like it becomes more clearer and clearer until I sit down with my missus and we have tea, and we watch some telly and we watch some stuff online, and we have a laugh, and then she'll go to bed, and then I'll come back in, and then it starts again. You know what I mean? It's like, but in that time, where I've been chilling, it's like it's building up again, and then I've got to get rid of it. And that's why, like I was saying earlier, where if I don't get to do it, it's really is. It's like if you go on holiday for a couple of weeks or something, it's getting bad. It's getting bad like after 2 weeks or something, or tour or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it's like if every one of them songs or emotions is a voice in your head that, like say I do 15, 20 tunes a week, then that's 20 people in your head talking at once. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's probably the best way I can explain.
How do you remember them all?
The thing is, it gets harder, and it's getting harder and harder because the rate of music is accelerating with questioning mortality and times and It seems like, you know what I mean? And I feel like I'm racing. I constantly feel like I'm on a breakthrough or something in sort of some meditation thing. I feel like, you know what I mean? So it's like trying a drug for the first time or something. I'm constantly, but this one's a high I haven't tasted yet. It's like, you know what I mean? And it's, yeah.
So what's mad. Like what, I guess actually this is a question just popped into my head. I haven't written it down or anything, and it's not even part of my notes, but like, what are you working on now then? Not music wise, but like, is there like a next step or like a progression you're trying to make in terms of the way that you work, or something you want to achieve?
No, it's the same, basically.
But don't you find you need a new challenge then if it's like the same? Do you know what I mean?
But the new challenge is how you say it, innit? And how it's delivered, and I put up a track, Raindrops, that I did with Lensman on my first album, and basically if you listen to the lyrics, I've just explained from 2012 till 2020 what's just happened. You know what I mean? I listened to it it came up on my feed and I listened to it and I was like, what the fuck? And it's basically down to Trump, down to everything. It's just like up to this point, I've just documented it, you know what I mean? And it was like I was listening to it thinking, Ross, you know, and they didn't listen to it then, and they probably won't listen to it now, and it's happening. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like, as long as you need to drill that, you know, this universal love and respect people, and you know, all this kind of hippie shit, I push. Which some people will call it that, but you know, it's the truth, and it's all that's what I'm saying. That's their ego, because they're scared of hippies because they were free in it. They were free. They looked different. They had long hair, and like we was getting back to the previous question. It's all the same in it. It's just like, you know, but them people were free, and like, you know, that was their hair, and that expression was just how they expressed that freeness to look different from each other. You can see I'm free. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, it's all uniform and stepping out of line in it. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, man, it gets deeper and deeper.
So, like, let me see if I can phrase this in a different way. Maybe like, have you like set yourself any challenges or goals, or like? I mean, I guess that question I asked before was maybe a bit too broad in terms of, have you got to set yourself anything, blah blah blah. But I mean,
yeah,
I guess if you wake up every day and you've got energy to make stuff, does that come from just needing to make, or like
every day you're better? So like today I'm twice as good as I was yesterday. Which today's recording, after we get off the phone and I record some music, I'll hear it and I'll be like, Ross, that's singing slightly better, or you know what I mean. How I caught the verse, I was breathing better in it. It's got a better flow to it, or whatever. It's just, yeah, I'm better in it. I'm in the gym every day. When you're in the gym every day, you become hench in it, and you become faster, and you become, you know, yes, more streamlined. And you know, once you get into a certain shape, your actual workout changes, doesn't it? You know what I mean? You know, I don't need to work my back so much now. I go into this and there, skipping leg day and shit. You know what I mean?
So you're just like constantly ironing out kinks, basically, is what you mean?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Becoming more divine, or more closer to like perfection, which you'll never gain. But it's fun to chase it. That breakthrough, what I was saying, is actually perfection, which is something I'll never gain. But it's just fun to chase it, innit? You know what I mean? It's like, if I've got the time and the space to chase it, then I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean?
But also, again, perfection is an expectation as well, and if you set that as your expectation, you'll always be unhappy. It's just kind of
which keeps the blues. Which is, you know, my missus says you keep yourself in constant sort of peril, or constant to be able to serve your art.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And that's another thing I'm learning, where it's a balance. You got to have the balance, you know, because the last few years I've been really in the blue, purple kind of down, kind of sort of area of life. Do you know what I mean? Like, whether that's been through drinking and drugs or whatever, or it's been relationship or whatever, and people passing, and it also letting that be, using that as an excuse to get fucked up. You know what I mean?
It bleeds into every bit of your life as well. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. So it's just like, you know, people, my friend passed away, there. Yeah, that's 3 years ago. What are you saying now? You know what I mean? Like, I've had people say shit that to me, and I was like, boy, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that's true. Where, like, if they was there, they'd be like, don't use my name as a fucking, you know what I mean, a reason to fucking fuck your shit up. So, you know, it's all balance. And fucking, yeah, it's not easy, whether it's a musical process or it's life, innit? You know, it never is going to be easy, because no one gets out at the end. It's not a game that you win. It's just like, you know, it's just, some people choose to be a serial killer and go out. Some people choose to be an artist. You know what I mean? Whatever your path is, you just do that to the best of your ability, innit? You know, if you're in crime or whatever, it's shorter. Art's a bit longer. But the thing with art, it's there forever, innit? You know, it can't be erased. You know, that's why, like, I make, a lot of the time I won't have just a digital release. You know, I think I've had like two in my career or something.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And that's for a reason. It's because these are time capsules, and the all these thousands of vinyl and millions of vinyl, the time capsules. You can't get rid of them all. They're going to unearth them in a player and fucking, or they'll have a way to read it by then. You know what I mean?
It's like you're creating an artifact, basically.
Yeah,
forever.
And not a shit one. You know what I mean? That's the other thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like every single one, you can go through them. You might not like it, but you can't not say it's not good music. It's not. Thought hasn't gone into it. Emotion and honesty hasn't gone into it, and it's
part of your progression and part of your history. I remember like Stu SP once saying that your discography is like a tattoo. You can't really get rid of any of it. So
yeah. Well, that's it. And obviously there's there's bits and pieces like you think that one's not so but it was part of the story. And like if you take away pieces of the story, people don't understand how you got from A to T. You know what I mean? Like it's there's something happened in between that made that change or whatever. So yeah, it's all important, man. It's all important.
Very important. Cool. I'm going to ask you, I think, one more question, and it's the same as I've asked Darren and Luke, I think, last is, and I think you might have like touched on it, but I guess I wonder if you could focus it down into like a few key things. But what does success look like to
you? Success looks like a table full of my family and friends, and everyone's laughing and smiling. Like a big Christmas dinner or the Last Supper or something, but everyone's there and it's just like, we're just having a buzz. Not, like this is all that matters this time, and being with the people we love, and no one's on the phone, and just everyone's, that's success to me. That's just like, we made it. Everyone's happy. We don't have to look at this shit. It's not financial. That could be in a shack, but it's that and that's become more, just to go on a bit, that's become more relevant as time goes on, how the importance of family, and rather than being out or being on one or doing something selfish. You know what I mean? Like it's just with time I've realized these selfish things, and like being out or I don't know, chasing the new Supreme Summit, or whatever that selfish thing in your life that you do is, it's just not as important as like sitting down and just having a buzz with your family and your friends, and just like and it's like I say, it's just become more and more important, and that's what kind of success looks to me like. It's not like jewelry and things you want when you're 18, or things that's drummed into you that you need. It's just all we work for is to buy. Well, all you should work for is to buy time with your loved ones, innit? Like but good quality time. And some people, they work all weekend, and Sunday's the one day that they have with the family or something. Do you know what I mean? I'm lucky. I'm lucky in some ways where we work at the weekend, and I have other bits and pieces you have to do, but I'm lucky I can do that, and that's it within time. That's giving me more time to spend with my family, and that, which is success. And if my daughter needs some footy boots, or my son needs something for the studio or whatever, it's calm, innit? Do you know what I mean? It's like it's nice to be able to do that. So that's that, and
provide.
It's success. Even if it's not boots and something for the studio, it's support and something emotional. Do you know what I mean? Like being there. So it's that's success, to be able to do that, to have the headspace and time to be able to do that. It is.
And is the struggle is always how that blends together with your requirement to be making art? Do you find that a struggle? Definitely. Is that like the lifelong thing, I guess?
Yeah, definitely. That's the last battle, but I just have to turn it off, innit? It's just like that time. Obviously, if my son comes, Shiloh, he's a studio rat as well. So he's just like, he's 17. He's already had an album out last week. He's like, he's killing it, and that's without any help from me. You know what I mean? So
Sick.
it's yeah. So, you know, if he comes round, we're studio rats. If Kai comes round, we're downstairs watching telly, online, looking at stuff, you know, and having a buzz and so on and so forth with Phoebe or whatever. It's like, it's just, yeah, it's just having that time to be able to spend, you know what I mean? And just like, yeah, that's success to me.
Amazing.
And not being successful is grafting as hard as we do and not being able to do that. You know what I mean? That's like, yeah, hindering yourself a lot of the time to do that, you know. And a lot, you know, I found myself being greedy sometimes with gigs and stuff. Like, kind of, you know, I could do 4, I could live, I could pay my bills and but I'll do 8. You know what I mean? It's like you know, money's money, but these times with your peoples you can never get back, which I've learned. You know, you learn with time in it and losing people. So it's just like, you know, I do 5 and you've got, you know, you've got a bit of time off where you can spend the weekend with your kids, or you can do whatever, go away, you know, do something with the missus, let them know they're special. Do you know what I mean? Because they spend their time supporting what we do. Do you know what I mean? So it's just
absolutely,
yeah, man. It's just, yeah, that's success and unsuccessful to me. And when
amazing.
As a kid, it was all jewelry and Ferraris and condos and fucking whatever. And now, obviously, expectation and honesty, you've got to narrow it down to the fundamentals, innit?
I love that. Amazing. Well, mate, thanks so much for being on the podcast. It's been like great to have you on, and good to get that perspective and that little therapy session in.
All good, brother.
So yeah,
all good, brother.
Nice one. Good to chat. Speak to you soon.
All right, mate. Take it easy.
Take it easy, man. Bye bye.